We're here for our discussion of the manual for teachers, and we are in the clarification of terms. And I'm going to go ahead and put up the screen with the text. I have it up on two different screens. I didn't realize that. I went looking for it and I already had it. Okay. Oh, not that. Well, I can do that, but I like to save my bandwidth. Cat out my door, meow meowing. There we go. We're still in this section called True Perception or Knowledge. And I think we had quite a meeting last week talking about this subject, and I guess this week we will continue with that. We've got 3 more paragraphs in this section, so we'll see how this goes tonight. Hope you all are feeling active. All right. Who would anybody have anything they'd like to share before we get started? Please unmute yourself and speak up.
I just want to say how much I admire you, Lynn, for all your allergies and everything else that you go through, and you still keep on pushing. So I just love that about you. I know
Yeah,
sometimes it sounds like you can't even breathe, you know? I mean, you have so many problems with your breathing sometimes. I notice it. And sometimes you don't even realize you're on the microphone when you're coughing. And I mean, I just admire you and grateful for you for all that you do. That's all.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, it's something I've had since I was a small child, so I'm kind of used to it. Rafi, please go ahead.
yeah, you're a perfect example of how we are completely divinely guided, divinely provided for, divinely protected. This divine loving support is there all the time. Most people who aren't on this path and have no idea of what the reality is, if they were going through what you were doing, they would be sitting there feeling sorry for themselves. You go, oh God, what am I going to do? Oh, I'm just going, not you. You know the divine presence is constantly there, and you just move ahead and take care of business and let beingness, let God take care of the rest. I just, what Karen said, that I admire that so much because it's such an example to the rest of us.
Yeah, thank you for that, Rafi. Either that or it's, it could be that I'm just like, I don't know. It is true. I used to be really afraid and really panicking when I would have health problems or things would happen to my body. And what I realize is I'm still here no matter what. I'm here no matter what. And nothing really has changed about who I am or what I am. I've just become much more patient and more accepting of the situation because that's what you're going to do. And I know a lot of folks were uh some folks I've had a couple of accidents since I've been here on ACIM gather. You might think I was accident prone or something, but not really. I wrecked my car and I destroyed my knee and I had to have several surgeries and lost my eye. I can't see out of my right eye, completely blind there. And yeah, I mean, what am I going to say? Gee, I wish I could see. Gee, I wish I didn't have, this bad knee. Well, I could say that a million times, but it's not going to change my situation. It's just going to make me unhappy. So why would I want to just make myself miserable? It's ridiculous. So, and then a lot of folks remember when I fell when I was going to Boston and broke my shoulder and spent the night in the Denver airport with a broken shoulder. Uh, and, waiting, thinking I was going to fly out the next morning, no matter. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just crazy, I guess. But once I realized, there's no way I could get on an airplane and fly to Boston with this kind of pain. Something must be really bad wrong with my arm, with my shoulder. And so I finally called my husband and Sandy, and they came up and got me and took me to the emergency room. And sure enough, I had broken my shoulder. And and I was like in a sling for like 6 months and I couldn't use my right arm at all for like 6 months. And at the same time, my baggage was already on the plane. It went to Boston. It came back. It went through Chicago, and somebody stole my laptop out of my bag. And so when I got it back, it was like, "Where's my laptop?" I was just, but I was like, "Well, okay, this is what's happening now." I was supposed to speak at that conference with Dove, and no speaking at a conference, no, no up in the spotlight, for me, which was fine. I didn't mind it because, it was just, it was just a thing that happened. But to me, it was almost kind of an adventure. Hey, Nicole, and that's how I look at it. It was like, this life is just an adventure. It's just, go from one thing to another, and either I can, be unhappy about it and worry about it and be afraid, or I could just relax and let it be, and just be joyful that I get to experience this. And that's the thing I think is what, I'm coming to understand is that if you don't argue with the experience and you just allow it and, go, well, what is in this for me? What am I here to learn? Then you actually uh profit from it. You're better because of it. And I notice I'm much more patient. I don't care about, if something goes wrong, I'm not going to get upset. I don't worry about the future. I don't mourn about the past. I'm just in a place where I'm just in just joy all the time. And I don't think I could have ever been in this place if I hadn't have seen all the other alternatives and realized uh how silly they were. How silly it is to get upset about something that you just absolutely could do nothing about. It's just silly. And why not just be where you are and, stand in the place where you live, be where you are, that REM song. Uh, you're just there. And for me, it's just, I'm just very, very happy person. So I don't know. But thank you for that. Nicole, what's going on with you, my girl?
Oh, I'm sorry I was late. I just got caught up. I had um just been blown away. I actually was just looking at some wave mastery quotes, and I'm just looking at this, and oh my goodness, the first sentence here. This is the shift that true perception brings. What was projected out is seen within, and their forgiveness lets it disappear. Right. And what I was looking at, because in Way of Mastery, it explains it's a co-creation, right? Um, and what but my own insistences, right? Um, you know, changes it from his creation. That's all it is, my own insistences. And these I have to see the cause is myself and forgiveness take place and let those dreams go. And it's like I just actually was looking at some amazing quotes. I actually just wrote them down. And here was one, and it was to see into the heart of all things is to know the splendor of the sun. Another was, for the kingdom of heaven is spread upon the earth, but man sees it not. He cannot see the kingdom because he insists on seeing the world. The next one, remember the world is all that you perceive from the viewpoint of separation. End this, and all that remains is the kingdom. And then in this one here, this is the one that I was looking for. In all things, there will be discovered that which is of the world and that which is of the kingdom, right? And the question I was asking, my brother had found one which says, there are bodies, but you do not have one. You do not dwell within it. It dwells within the holy expansiveness of the one mind that is incarnate upon your earth, right? And that sounds like, whoa. But like my question I had yesterday, this was a question I was asking, was if the body or forms, right, if the body or bodies, as it's put there, is a co-creation with God, what other than God's creation could I be experiencing except my own insistences, my own judgments, my own insistences, that which I think it is, right? Think it is, all right? My thoughts about what is, right? Like lesson 1, the cup, right? There is whatever this is in reality, and then there's my own insistences that it is something other. And our thoughts have effects. So, whoa, now we got a world where there is only
Exactly.
God's creation, you know.
And it's a world that's made out of perception. It's there because we perceive it. So that's what we're going to talk about now. Would you like to read this paragraph,
Yeah,
Nicole?
yeah,
Please
yeah,
do.
sure. Okay. This is the shift that true perception brings. What was projected out is seen within, and there forgiveness lets it disappear. For there the altar to the Son is set, and there his Father is remembered. Here are all illusions brought to truth and laid upon the altar. What is seen outside must lie beyond forgiveness, for it seems to be forever sinful. Where is hope while sin is seen as outside? What remedy can guilt expect? But seen within your mind, guilt and forgiveness for an instant lie together side by side upon one altar. There at last, a sickness and its single remedy joined in one healing brightness. God has come to claim his own. Forgiveness is complete. So, you know, this for me is about like the taking of full responsibility, that everything that I see as being outside is a product of my own imagination, of my own thinking, my own imagination, and bringing it, you know, ideas leave, you know, like bringing it back to cause, that I am the cause. I'm the cause. It's not how I'm seeing the world. It's not my brother. The cause isn't what's going on out there. The cause is within, bringing it together. So if I would see what God created, if I would experience the kingdom, and I would experience heaven, if I would choose that, I've got to be willing to let go of my insistences, what I think, you know, my own thoughts about it, and bring it all back to the altar and allow that correction to take place, to be willing to release all my own dreams, release my dreams of sin and guilt, and come with me instead. The resurrection of God's Son. You know what I mean? Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So when you say my own insistences, is that your own perceptions about what you think is happening? Is that what you're
Yes,
talking about? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, what I think. I'm looking at what I think it is, what I think. You know, think, think.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Yeah,
And
yeah.
a lot of that thinking has to do with the fact that we think there is a right way that things should be, And then anything else is not right. And the problem with all of that is every single one of us has our own idea of what is right. And we might agree on some parts, but we are never going to agree on all parts. We're always, if you ever find somebody who completely agrees with you totally and completely without any kind of objection, then you're probably talking to a psychopath because there's no two people that can actually agree on how what they think is right and wrong. Uh, and
Yeah.
what what we've learned from our life, what we've learned from growing up in the world, having our families tell us one thing, our schools tell us something else, our government tell us one thing, our church tell us one thing, our friends tell us one thing. Everybody's telling us what is real, and then we have our own ideas. We're making up our own ideas about what is real. And, I think a lot about stuff. I'm always, contemplating what about this? What about that? How did this get here? I mean, my whole life I've just been curious about what is going on. So in that case, I come up with my own conclusions. I think, people who do this are crazy, and people who don't do this are crazy, and mainly it's about everybody but me is crazy. But that that's just that's just Lynn, how I operate. But I think everybody operates at that level at certain in some way. So what we're projecting out. Uh, when I'm looking out and I'm seeing insanity, where is that at? It's got to be in my own mind. It can't be somewhere else. So if I'm looking out and I'm seeing insanity, then the only thing I can do is forgive the insanity in my mind, forgive the story in my mind, and say there's got to be a better way, or this cannot be so, and this cannot be. And so whatever it is that we come up with, illusions about ourselves or the world or our brothers or whatever, that we see outside, we have to look inside for the source of it and let it go. And I mean, who made up all these rules? And of course it's my own mind who thinks that I'm safe if the world operates in this certain way. If people treat me this way, if people don't treat me this way, if I get this or I don't get that or whatever, I have a whole idea of what will make me safe in this world. And there is no safety in this world because the only safety is in my own mind. So that's what I have to look at. Why am I looking out there for hope? And I love he says that. Where is hope? While sin is seen as outside. Where is hope if I can't reach it or do anything about it? When all I can do is look at it and suffer and be dismayed because of what I'm seeing. I have to be able to see it inside myself because that's the only place that it can be remedied, it can be solved. So this is why, if I see something I don't like, if I see a person I don't like, if I see something that doesn't make me happy, or even if I see something that makes me really happy, look inside. Why is this? What is this here that is giving me this idea that this is right? And when, I look at it with the Holy Spirit, I see that none of it is right and none of it is wrong. It just doesn't even really exist. So this is why you could bring this stuff internally. You can look at it in your own mind. And I love this, but seen within your mind, guilt and forgiveness for an instant lie together side by side upon one altar. There at last are sickness and its single remedy joined in one healing brightness. God has come to claim his own. Forgiveness is complete. Yeah, when I forgive it internally in my own mind with the Holy Spirit, it's done. Anybody else have anything they would like to share about this? Karen, please go ahead.
And I would after Karen or after whoever asked to.
Okay.
No, go ahead, Nicole. You go first.
Yeah, I was just wanting to say, like, all those thoughts, like, when we kind of see them the same, like, I kind of have this vision. I don't know whether I brought it up, but like, I'm starting to see like all these different seeming thoughts and whatever about a world or whatever is, like that when we bring them together in the holy altar in our mind, like it's kind of a bit like those we've been scrawling on the beach, all that thinking is just all this scrawling on the beach, and we just allow the ocean just comes and just washes it away, and all of it. We think we've got to pick and choose and all this, but no, just bring it all. Come with holy empty hands, holy empty hands. Just let it all be washed away. Because we either are as God created us or we're not, and we are as God created us, and so is all. It's only a dream. Well, the kingdom, is spread out. We are in the kingdom. Oh, was that one? The kingdom of heaven is spread upon the earth, but man sees it not. He cannot see the kingdom because he insists on seeing the world. And we can forget earth. We don't need to go in that. Just say the kingdom. The kingdom of heaven is spread upon. It's here. And it's here within our holy mind we share with God.
Yeah, exactly, Nicole. Yes.
It's just a projection. So we can be, within. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicole. I love you, my friend. Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Nicole. I love everything you shared. Lynn, can you bring it down a little bit so I can see the end of paragraph 5? I just want to see that last sentence. Okay, so, and what you then will overlook will not be understandable to you, just as its presence once had been your certainty. So that's moving me right into this next paragraph, because we're seeing the truth. And this is the shift that true perception brings. What was projected out is seen within, and their forgiveness lets it disappear. We were just talking about this today. And it's the inner and the outer are the same. Projection makes perception. Whatever I'm thinking, I'm projecting out. It has nothing to do with anything outside of me. And true perception has nothing to do with my body's eyes. It's really my one self. It's really my connection with the Holy Spirit. And I'm looking through the Christ eyes, and seeing the truth. So it's just reminding me that like with the body, we're talking about the body. And so after I got off the call today, after my uncle called me up, and he's a bleeder. He's on a lot of medications for his heart, which is making his bleeding even more. So if he even hits something slightly, he bleeds. So he called me up and he was bleeding, and he was bleeding pretty profusely. And I went over there and I'm like, we don't take this stuff seriously anymore. Like, we both have, it's hilarious now, because I have all these body issues and he has all these body issues. He's older than me, and his are actually way worse than mine. Okay. Every single organ in his body is diseased except his pancreas. I'm serious. It's like that bad, but we still laugh at this stuff. And that's the beauty of the Course in Miracles. So I go over there and I just, fix the cut. I put a Band-Aid on it. I put extra gauze around it before I put the Band-Aid on. I just helped him stop bleeding. Like, it was just, we just do these things. And looking through the body eyes, I could be scared. I could be fearful. I could be, oh my God, you're bleeding. Look at all this blood, tons of blood all over the place. And it wasn't like that. It's this body, just like you were saying, Lynn, it's just part of the experience here, and it actually is showing me it's unreality continually. So I love this, and I love, love, love where he says that these, I want to get it right here. He says, here are all illusions brought to truth and laid upon the altar. What is seen outside must lie beyond forgiveness, for it seems to be forever sinful. Where is hope while sin is seen as outside? What remedy can guilt expect? But seen within your mind, guilt and forgiveness for an instant lie together side by side upon one altar. There, at last, sickness and its single remedy joined in one healing brightness. God has come to claim his own. Forgiveness is complete. That is so beautiful. I mean, I just love that. And just, I mean, that part where forgiveness and guilt lay side by side, it's one problem, one answer, and it's just bringing it all to the Holy Spirit to be forgiven. And I just love that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. Yeah, it's like two sides of the same coin. And we think that they're completely different and opposite, but one can't be without the other. So they have to be together. You don't need forgiveness if you haven't thought, if you don't think something's gone wrong. So it's changing my mind from believing that something has gone horribly wrong to seeing that everything is happening perfectly in the best order. And that's not an easy thing to do if you have your own ideas about how things should be. And this is that whole, I know Zoma talks about that don't should on me, and that's it what should be, but nothing should be. What should be is what is. That's what should be. It's what's happening right now. And if you think anything else should be happening, then you're going to be afraid and miserable and think that, something, we got to fix it. There's nothing that needs to be repaired. Nothing is broken. No, that's the beauty of it. Nothing is really broken at all. Nicole, please go ahead.
I agree with what you're saying to a point, but I think that what we think what is, needs to just be simply brought to light, brought to question. What is? What do we think? What we think is isn't what is. It's not what is. It's that all that is a dream. It's not real. It's not real. It's what we think. All right. What is not what we think is. All right. What is what is, not what we think is. All right. Okay. I think that's really important, because, um, like I agree with what you were saying about the changing stuff. That's like the trying to change things on the beach stuff, right? Okay. But the thing is, no, actually, I'm going to stop there. It's not real. God did not create these things. They're not real. They're not real. It's a dream. It's not real.
Yeah, none of it. So yeah, there's no definition of, I mean, you can't really define what is, uh, because
No, but we can
no.
see it. We can see it. We can know it, and we can be it. We can want it. That's all we got to do is want that. We got to want to see it. We got to want to know it, and we got to want to be it. And God is the means for all that. That we are still, we're not separate from God. All right, but that's it. And then instead of looking out and just seeing illusion and dreams, we start to glimpse more and more and more and more those, holy instants and 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 you know, but it's important that we see that it's not real. And I know it's tricky. Look, I had in this last week, and I'm going to be right up front and honest with you. I actually ended up in hospital for a week. It was a bit of a it helped me actually. It was good because I ended up in hospital with a so-called infection, right? Okay, I had an abscess and I ended up in hospital overnight and they put me on antibiotics and on a drip. All right. So I'm not claiming to be free from the illusion completely. This came up and it was like a bit of a humble pie for me in truth, right? And what it helped me to see was let go of some spiritual ego, right? Which was good, where I'd been judging, right? And I was there, and while I was like out to it that night, I kind of experienced and being able to actually see God in everyone, including that nurse that came to me and thank you and experiencing that, it's like there's this song my you know, I don't know, it was kind of like helped me to look at it because what my ego had been doing was it had been wanting to shelve that because of having seen reality. I didn't want to look at these beliefs around sickness and this kind of stuff. So I hadn't truly brought it to truth. Like I hadn't brought it to truth. I just wanted to shelve it. Do you know what I mean? Like keep it at the side. And I kept seeing it in my brothers. So I was actually seeing my brothers in their thinking, um, giving rise to these effects, right? Yeah. Okay. Um, so, and I was still keeping it real because I was actually seeing that there was something actually happening, that the effects actually was, I don't know, it's hard to explain. So this week, I have been focusing on this and have been bringing my illusions to light and remembering the truth, right? And that what God did not create is not real. It's not real, you know, it's not real. And letting go of my insistence of that is what is going on. Do you know what I mean? Being willing to be wrong about it. Do I want to be right about this or do I want to be happy to actually be willing to bring all of it to the altar, you know? So anyway, I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Nicole. And yeah, that's when you have those physical things happening, it's kind of hard to say it's not happening or you're not experiencing it. But, it exactly what you said. God didn't create this, so it can't be real. I mean, we have a lesson that's all about that. And, when Dove had cancer and he read that God didn't create cancer, directly it said that, so it can't be real. He recognized, oh, okay, this is an appearance. This is not the reality of what's happening. This is an appearance. And this is all we have to do. McKaylee, please go ahead.
Hi, hi everyone. I love this. This is great. On the shift about what true perception brings. So I just want to say today I went on a wildlife refuge tour, and so it was a tour of a refuge that was created for wildlife, not for humans. And it was very interesting, and they discussed about plants and all of that, and it made me think about the course and this cactus. I think it's the sagora. Anyways, it shares a friendship. It's adaptation, and it shares a friendship with this tree, and the tree shelters it when its seedlings are in the ground so that it can grow. So it needs that sheltering from that tree, or else it won't be able to grow into a Sagora cactus. So there's a friendship there. And I thought about how, yes, this is an illusion and we're already there. but that it is a process, and how, we have the friendship with one another, and we were, kind of taken in a process till we get there, like the Sakura cactus is when it's in the seedling. So it was just really interesting about the adaptation and how the plants, they adapt to survive to their environment. And it makes me think of adaptation with, going through the process of this. So thank you.
Yeah, that's beautiful, McKaylee. And yeah, that's, for a long time, I was a Buddhist, still am, I guess. I never stopped being a Buddhist. I don't know if you ever stopped that. But, that's one of the major principles in Buddhism is this relatedness of things and how everything, you couldn't even exist if you weren't connected with the everything. Everything is Everything that's here is necessary for my being. Whether I recognize it or not, everything that's here is necessary for my being. And so even the sickness, and you think, well, having allergies is not a good thing, or having pneumonia is not a good thing, or whatever. Well, obviously there is a reason for it, and it's a part of the circle of life. There's nothing wrong with it. That's what, I
Oh,
really had to
wow.
come to understand. There's nothing wrong with being sick. There's nothing wrong it's no different having a sick body than having a hungry body, or having a cold body, or having a tired body. If you think that you're the body, and what is happening in it is your reality, then you're going to be miserable. But when you recognize that it's just, it really is just the vehicle, and it's got its bugs, and it's got its good points, and it's got its pain, and it's got its pleasure. But in the end, it is not what I am, and I leave it behind. So there's no reason to, be concerned about what's happening with it. Just let it be, take as good care of it as I can, change the oil, and keep the water topped off and whatever, and I'll be okay. Okay, Rafi, please go ahead.
I had a very practical experience today about all of this. I went to a part of LA to see somebody, and that part of LA was the streets are strewn with homeless people. There are peddlers all over the place, and it congests traffic and everything. And all I did was see the divine light of being in all of them. I saw everything that I was looking at as sacred, and that what I was seeing was just an appearance, and as you mentioned earlier, and that as long as I held to that truth, it had to be true of whatever this body image is. If it's true of what I'm seeing in them, it's true of what is in me as well, and the that made the whole experience warm, friendly, charming, easy, um, and loving everybody equally, loving all equally. It made the entire experience go just like that. All of a sudden, there wasn't any of that. There was the truth. And as I was going home, just driving past people walking down the street or people in the other cars, constantly loving them equally, constantly seeing them as the divine presence or that sacred oneness of being. Everyone is love, everyone is God. Made everything just go so smoothly that there was nothing else but that.
That is an amazing experience. And yes, that if you can experience the world in that way, and you can by choosing to do that, experience the world in that way, and not look at it as if, oh my God, there's all these homeless people and all these blah blah blah, and this is terrible, and instead of looking at all these things and thinking that they're wrong. Just look at them and recognize that this is what is. And there's nothing there's nothing I would change about it because everyone is here having their experience. Just as I'm here having my experience, and I sure as hell don't want anybody coming and taking my experience away from me and telling me, oh, it's terrible that you know you're doing this, and we're gonna fix you up and give you whatever. No, I want to live my life and I want to learn my lessons, and move on. So anyway, I love that you see it that way, and when you're loving everything you see, then nothing you see can upset you or make you afraid. And fear is the biggest problem. If we're afraid of what we see, then we give it a lot of power, and that can really hurt us. McKaylee, please go ahead.
Yes, I love what you just said, Len and Rafi. That's so true. Rafi, that was beautiful what you said. That's what I experienced today too, because I had a lot of things to do, and the tour took about 2 hours, so it went a lot longer. And but I decided that I'm going to remain at peace throughout my whole day today, even with all the things I had to do. And I noticed that as I look at it, so I'm stepping outside of it and I'm looking at it and I'm observing at it and I'm remaining at peace the whole time. I'm choosing peace. That because that's really what I am. I'm love. It's kind of like the law of attraction. I don't even say anything and people feel it and they want to come up to you. They want to say something to you. They notice your peace. And it happened everywhere I went today. It happened everywhere I went. It, I just stayed quiet, but I remained at peace. Went to the post office, had the grocery store, had the bank, lots of things to do. And I had people that wanted to share eye contact with you. They wanted to share smiles with you. And they were the ones that came up to say something nice to me. So that peace emanates from you and people pick up on it. It's really interesting and it's so beautiful to be in that state. And even when I pulled into my house, there was a car next door and they walked over to me. I'd never met them before and they walked over to me because the house is for sale next door. And they stayed for quite a while just talking because they enjoyed just talking because we were just talking about nice things. So, you uplift other people and they crave it. It's a need. It's a true need because it's a need of love because they want to feel what is their true nature. They're all craving for that because it's all the clouds, the obstacles is all blurring their vision to it. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, and that's what it is. It's just allowing. It's not rejecting. And what a beautiful gift that is. And it is wonderful when people want to come up and see you and wave at you and smile at you and love you. That says a lot about your open mind and open heart. And and a lot of people are afraid of that. So, I think it makes a happier world when we all open up in that way. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It's such beautiful sharing. And I love what McKaylee shared about the Segura. Is it Segura cactus? Is that the name of it? Segura?
I
The
believe
Segura cactus. I thought that was so beautiful. And it reminded me of last night I was watching my uncle has been really very helpful to me lately because of the things that I'm going through. And last night he said, let's just order takeout because I usually cook every Wednesday night because I really wasn't up to cooking. So we just had takeout and we watched the animal channel, with the wildlife. And it was the Serengeti, and so beautiful there. But there's a lot of hunting, you know, animals hunt each other and that's what they do to survive. They kill each other, you know. And there was this trying to see the beauty in that, like Rafi was saying, see love everywhere. Like you were saying, Kaylee, seeing love everywhere. I noticed it was not easy for me. I noticed that I got really like sad when, you know, a baby cub was killed, you know, by another animal who knew it was helpless and just killed it anyway, you know. So that was hard for me. And I noticed that. So I just noticed these things. But what beautiful thing happened was there was I'm trying to think of it. It was a gazelle. It was a baby gazelle. It was just born. It was just born. And there was these lions that were, you know, the way they come up for the hunt, they're very, very sneaky and they're not noticeable until like the very last minute. Then they come up and they kind of run after the prey and they do it so quickly that they're taken by surprise. Well, the mother gazelle couldn't fight off the tiger and the baby was just so helpless it couldn't do anything. But the beautiful thing that happened was that the tiger, I mean the lion didn't kill this baby. It felt confused because the baby was just born and the baby couldn't run yet. So usually, you know, a lion will chase. It's on a chase and it usually kills somebody while running and chasing it. And this baby was helpless. And I noticed that the baby thought that because it was just born, it thought the lion was its mother. So the baby was just like kind of snuggling up to the lion, and the lion got confused and started loving the baby. Like didn't want to kill the baby. The instinct it left. The instinct to kill left, and there was this instinct to love. And it was just so beautiful. Rather than killing this baby, it loved this baby and nurtured this baby and it was just so beautiful. I've never seen anything like it. It just reminded me of what you shared. Everything is so perfect. Even the killing is perfect, even though that's kind of hard for me sometimes to look at. But that just took my breath away. So the love is there, and it is a choice. Everything is a choice. It's a decision. So thank you for that reminder.
Thank you for that, Karen. And yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that the lion killed the mother.
No, the lion did not kill the mother, and
Oh,
the mother was watching the whole thing. The mother was very smart. The mother watched and watched the whole thing, and the
wow.
mother, because the mother was tried to kill the lion but couldn't. But the lion didn't want to kill the mother. The lion it wasn't after the mother, and usually it doesn't. They don't. Usually they for some reason it just the way it happened. But what did happen was the lion got distracted by something else and went after something else to kill, and the baby was saved and went back to his mother. So it all ended up perfect. But no, it wasn't like that. The mother tried at first to kill the lion, fight the lion, distract the lion, do everything, but the lion, you know, it just didn't work. But no, the lion didn't try to kill them because that wasn't really that's not something they usually do is kill the gazelles like that. You get for some reason. Um, it wasn't,
Interesting.
yeah, that didn't happen.
So yeah, that's interesting. But I mean, I know, I don't like to see things. I've just watched, in fact, my cats in the backyard caught a mouse. They're flinging it around and playing with it, and of course, the little mouse trying to get away. And it sounds pitiful, doesn't it? It sounds terrible. But you think about it, that is the life of cats and mice. That is the life of lions and gazelles, I guess. That is the life of humans in the world. We kill to eat. And, of course, I don't go in my backyard and kill something to eat if I'm hungry. I go to the store and I buy something that somebody else killed for me. And, that. And I don't, I do think about the life of if I'm cooking a creature, I don't eat mainly don't eat any kind of mammals or four-legged animals or anything like that. I do eat fish and also will eat like chicken or poultry, that kind of thing. But that's not because I don't want to kill them. It's because of the effect on the environment of raising animals that I just don't want to support. So, it doesn't even have to do with whether or not I care about what goes on, because everything has its own life. Everything has its own life and its own path. Everything came here for its own purpose. And, we may think that we know what the purpose of it is. Of course, we think that the purpose of a cow is to have a steak, or the purpose of a sheep is to, have wool or lamb or, mutton or whatever. We think there's a purpose for these things, but there really is no purpose that any of these things have that has anything to do with me. They're all living their own life too. And so I can't, I don't have an opinion. That's, I think, the greatest gift that has come to me actually is I don't have an opinion. And not having an opinion really frees me in a lot of ways to do whatever. And I would eat beef if now I'm just not used to it. I haven't eaten it for so long that I don't even know if I'm sure my body would digest it. It's you know it's just and it's just cells like everything else. But um, you know I don't know what I'm trying to say. It just there's no sin in any of it. That's what I'm trying to say is there's nothing wrong with any of it. Those animals are not sinful for the way that they hunt and kill. We're not sinful for the way we raise things and kill. We're not sinful about any of it. And this is the problem, is this belief in guilt that has become so prevalent. I mean, it's our whole mode of operation basically in the world is, avoiding guilt, or punishing guilt, or feeling guilt, or guilt is kind of a prime motivator for us here in the world. And so that's why this work that we're doing is so important, because we shift our perception from seeing guilt outside of us, and from seeing sin outside of us. We shift our projection or perception to seeing love. This is all love. What you saw with the lion and the gazelle, that was love in a way that you wanted to see love, or else you wouldn't have been seeing that way. You'd have been seeing some other thing. But because, in your experience, you wanted to see love, you got to see that loving situation, or that situation that was so unusual, um, that told you it doesn't always have to be that way. And if it doesn't always have to be that way, it never has to be that way. And you can see that because that's what you want to see. You want to see peace. Karen, go ahead.
Exactly, Lynn. And it just reminds me that what the Course teaches us, that everyone is playing their part perfectly, including the animals. Like when I was watching that last night with my uncle, I'm like, oh my God, I can't watch this part. And my uncle was just like, this is nature. This is nature. This is what happens. This is what they do. So I did start to lighten up because he watches them all the time. He's fascinated by it. So I did lighten up and I did start to look at it differently. But it's just reminding me that this is for everything. Everybody's playing their part perfect. Everything is happening perfectly. It's always my perceptions. And that's why, where is hope when sin is seen outside? There is no hope. There is no hope. Like McKaylee said, there was a great need. She said there was this great need. And the Course says that forgiveness is the great need of this world because it's a world of illusions. That's why there's forgiveness is the great need of this world. So we are here to be miracle workers, to forgive and to just see only love, because that is what we are. And it's just so beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. McKaylee, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for that, Karen. And it's so true what you said. There was a beautiful hummingbird on the trail today on the tour, and it had beautiful colors of green on its back and like on its on its chest area. It was like a magenta pink and red. I mean, it was absolutely gorgeous. And the tour guide said that there was an area where this hummingbird hung out. It was its territory. So one of the couples on the tour they were bird watchers, and they had their special camera, and they allowed me to look at it. And it was going back and forth, and it was watching towards the water. And all of a sudden it disappeared because a turkey vulture flew and hoovered right over where the hummingbird was at. So it was really interesting that it allowed us to go in its territory, and it felt the peace from us that we weren't going to harm it, but yet it still had to be watchful. So it's kind of like to be in this world but not be of it. So you've got to drive your car, you got to watch, the other drivers, but you can choose to remain at peace. No, it was interesting about the hummingbird and the turkey vulture and what you shared, Karen. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you for that, McKaylee. And hummingbirds themselves are real assholes. And we have a bunch of hummingbird feeders, and they fight, and oh my gosh, it's crazy how they attack each other. They are very territorial, and you see the one, it's just dying to get there and get something to eat. And we put out all these little feeders, and when it gets near, the other one comes and runs it off, and they have a little battle. And we've actually had to put feeders in other parts of the yard so that these other ones would have a chance, because because they are so aggressive and territorial. But there's really beautiful and sweet too, so that it's just the way the world is, man. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. So let's go on to the next paragraph. Uh, and let's see what it has to say. Who would like to read paragraph 7 for us?
Yeah.
Please go ahead, Rafi.
And now God's knowledge, changeless, certain, pure, and wholly understandable, enters its kingdom. Gone is perception, false and true alike. Gone is forgiveness, for its task is done. And gone are bodies in the blazing light upon the altar to the Son of God. God knows it is his own, and it is his. And here they join, for here they face the face of Christ has shown away time's final instant, and now is the last perception of the world without a purpose and without a cause. For where God's memory has come at last is no journey, no belief in sin, no walls, no bodies, and the grim appeal of guilt and death is there snuffed out forever. Oh, that sounds like transcendence to me.
Yeah, I mean, what is he saying here? Uh, wow. Uh, when God's knowledge enters the kingdom, then all those stories, perception, false and true alike, everything is gone. No more forgiveness necessary. It's done. Gone are bodies in the blazing light upon the altar. Wow. This is, he's really talking about the disappearance of the universe. That, when the knowledge of God appears and and actually is in our own mind, then we no longer see this world and these trials and these fears and these upsets. And what do we see? There's no more sin. No, nothing, like that song. It's amazing. No, there is no sin in anyone. Everything is perfectly the way it should be. And I love how he says the grim appeal of guilt and death is there snuffed out, snuffed out forever. It seemed like a kind of uh, a kind of a, I don't know what kind of term, like a punk kind of term, snuffed out. But anybody else have any thoughts about this?
Well, it just came to me that it means that the entire ego mind concept has been thoroughly dissolved or completely transcended, and it no longer exists and is only the reality of being. And that can't be explained by minds, people, because it's beyond description, it's beyond comprehension, and yet it's the only reality. And that last sentence to me says that perfectly.
Thank you, Rafi. That's it. Dove, what were you going to say?
Well, it's a very deep well. I'm gonna put it in the chat. It appears that paragraph 7 is what we call dropping the body. You know, people. I think it was either today here or this morning. I think it was Sharon who said, "Well, we don't really know what happens when we die." Paragraph 7 looks like this is it.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
I mean, but it's dropping the body through knowing the truth. It's not dropping the body because we have a heart attack or we you know,
Well, I really don't know that. Uh, I mean, that doesn't mean that you don't come back and have more lessons to learn. I think when the Christ mind is outside of the body, you enter into the kingdom of God.
okay, but does that mean that when you die, you enter into the kingdom of God? Because
Well,
obviously,
yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. I
yeah.
mean, there's a Tibetan Buddhist book that says, it's called the it's called the Book of the Dead, and in it says if you die before you die, you don't die when you die. Which basically, of course, if the ego is with you at the moment of death, uh, you're not going to know this stuff. But he's giving it to you right here in paragraph 7. And I know it sounds like, my God, what is he really saying? Gone is perception, false and true alike. Gone is forgiveness, for its task is done. So when you leave the body, there's really nothing more to do. I mean, the body is your ticket to the classroom. You're here to learn lessons. For me, that's like a given. And if you don't learn your lessons, you come back and you do it all over again. But when you leave the body, I imagine that you return to the mind of God. I mean, obviously that's an imagination. I
Yeah.
have no proof of that, but that to me is what paragraph 7 is saying.
Yeah, and then that's and it could be very well. I'm thinking that it is something more permanent than that is when God's knowledge enters the kingdom. So, that not every time when you die do you suddenly have the knowledge of God. I'm thinking that this is a
Well,
permanent thing, not a temporary thing that says I'm going to go and come back and go and come back.
I, I kind of say that, I did have a near-death experience when I was 40 years old back in 1980. Oh my God, it's Renee. But I think people who have near-death experiences do say the same thing. I'll be right back.
Okay,
Hi, Renee. How are you, love?
here I'm going to mute you. Okay. So, I don't know. McKaylee has her hand up, as does Nicole. Please go ahead, McKaylee.
Okay, well, for me, it's representing oneness and wholeness, which is what we are, because all of this is an illusion. So it's where it says, "Gone is forgiveness, for its task is done." Well, you know, God doesn't need forgiveness. You only need forgiveness within the illusion as long as you're separated. So it's saying that, and here they join, for here the face of Christ has shone away, time's final instant. Well, time is part of the illusion. And now is the last perception of the world without a purpose and without a cause, because it's already whole. It's one, it's perfect. So that's what it, to me, what it's talking about. It's talking about when your mind, when you are no longer within the separation, then this is who you are. You are one with God right here. God knows it as his own, as it is his. So it's his own. And, you know, I mean, the course doesn't really get into it, but that's what I would say. It's oneness. It's who we really are, you know. It's changeless, certain, pure, and wholly understandable. Enter its kingdom. It's where we all are all the time. We just have all these obstacles, you know, that we're part of this illusion and separation. We're trying to clear it out. And that's where it is the process. But this is who we really are and where we're at with God all the time. Because
Yeah.
it says there that for where God's memory has come at last, there is no journey, no belief in sin, no walls, no bodies, and the grim appeal of guilt and death is there snuffed out forever. Well, that's talking all about the separation. And so where God's memory has come at last, that's because you've removed all the obstacles. So the memory has come. So there's no journey. There's no more journey to go on. You're already there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's how I see it. Yeah. When we remember God, then we forget this world. And then there's no changing that to come back and be in a body again, because we've learned the lessons we came here to learn. And, we may, I do believe, what Dove was saying about if you die before you die, which basically means that you give up the ego. And if you give up the ego while you're still in the body, then when the body dies, you don't come back, you don't go someplace and then come back. I believe you just remember where you've always been, right
Well,
here,
it's
right
kind
now.
of, yeah, you're right. It's kind of like when Christ was here, you know, he appeared to others to be within the dream, but the reality is he wasn't really here, but through their perception he was here. He was here in in a physical body and all of that. And then,
Right.
but
And
he
we're going to
the
read about
reality,
that,
yeah, go
how
ahead.
he actually made the physical body by projecting it so that he could engage with people.
That's correct.
So, and we're making a physical body by projecting it, but we're not conscious of that we're doing it. It's a very unconscious thing right now. Nicole, please go ahead.
I'm not sure if Dove's back from his phone call. Dove, are you back? Might not be. Still on the phone to Renee.
Yeah, we'll go ahead.
Okay, because I wanted to respond to what Dove was saying. And I really like what you were saying too, Kelly. And for where God's memory has come at last, there is no journey, no belief in sin, no walls, no bodies. And it doesn't say no body. It doesn't say where God's memory has come at last, there is no body. It says no body. So no bodies are seen. No bodies are seen. Brothers aren't seen in bodies or as bodies or in bodies. No bodies, right? Okay. But where God's memory has come, all is as God created it, and God created it wholly and one. It's one, right? It's one, right? Okay. It's not a world. It's not bodies. It's not bodies.
Thank you, Nicole. Rafi, please go ahead.
There are examples of this down through what we call history in the stream world. I mean, Jesus is the classic example. They put him on a cross, they killed him. 3 days later, he reassumed the body because he had stuff to take care of. And so he took care of it for 40 days and then he left the body again. Um, Yogananda, I mean, not Yogananda, Babaji is, he promised his sister, who was also a realized master, he promised his sister that he would stay in his body because he could achieve a whole lot more doing that. He's over 700 years old now. He looks like a man in his 30s, and he's still taking care of stuff from some cave in the Himalayas, and is surrounded by his followers. There have been others that have done this. Trilong is another one. Um, he stuck around for over 300 years after the body was supposed to have died. Um, if they got stuff to take care of, they reassume a body so that they can communicate with us in the stream. And when they figure that they've done what they had to do, then they let that dream body dissolve, and because they're always the oneness, they know they're not that. They know that they're just using it as a tool. And again, I think that last sentence says it forever. When you've completely transcended, you're unlimited, you're infinite. You can do anything you want. Who was it? Ramana Maharshi said, those who are aware of their divinity while they're still in their body are in a state of bliss that is indescribable. But that's the truth of what they are. So when we transcend to what we really are, we are unlimited, we are infinite. There's not a thing that we can't do if we decided that's necessary to serve.
That's right. That's right. It's a part of our service. And we'll be here as long as we're needed. And our body will be serviceable as long as it's needed. Nicole, I'm sorry I cut you off. Go ahead, honey.
All right. Yeah, I was just going to say about that. For where God's memory has come at last, there is no journey. Okay, because the journey back to God, we know we're one with God. All right, no separation, no belief in sin. We see the perfect innocence because we know that the beliefs are just, they're just innocent mistakes, right? No walls. Okay, there's nothing external or outside of us that can hold us back or prevent us from it's all we recognize causes within ourselves, that causes here. We're taking full responsibility, and there's no bodies. Okay, and what I wanted to bring up about that was to use the example of Jesus. Okay, the memory of God returned to him, and he knew it wasn't a body. That's why he was able to do what he did, because he knew it wasn't a body. He knew it wasn't a world. He knew he was in the kingdom of heaven and in the Father and in holiness. And he was free from the illusions, the thinking and thoughts about, and was in the kingdom. He didn't come into a world. He was in the kingdom, and that's what he was teaching us. And that's what he's teaching us here. He's telling us this. He's telling us this. Like, do we believe him? He's saying it. He's telling us straight. He's telling us it's not a world. He's telling us there is this, he's telling us this. He's saying we're in the kingdom. We're saying heaven is simply a decision we make. He's telling us we're not a body. He's telling us we are as God created us. We are as God created us. He's telling us that that is the only truth and the only reality. He's telling us all this all the time, all the way through this course. But are we willing to actually believe that and accept that as true? Are we willing to actually let go of our own illusions and let go of our dreams and accept and accept the atonement for ourselves and allow the correction of all? Are we willing to come wholly empty handed to our Father? Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for adding that. I appreciate that very much because you're right on. That's spot on. Exactly. McKaylee, please go ahead.
That was beautiful what Nicole said. Thank you, Nicole, for sharing that. That's right on too. This reminds me of a song from A Course in Miracles. Well, I made it into kind of a song in my own head. I would hum this in my head during the day. So I'm not a singer, but I'll just sing it to you. Let me remember I am one with God, at one with all my brothers and myself, in everlasting holiness and peace. Let me remember I'm one with God. So I would just repeat that song from the Course in my head, and it says, let me remember I am one with God in everlasting holiness and peace, at one with all my brothers and myself. So it's talking that you're not only one with all your brothers, but you're also one with God in everlasting holiness and peace. And so that's who we really are. That's and it just brings that memory that back to who you really are. And you not only when you remember that, when you come to that, which is what you really are, you do it for the whole sonship. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, McKaylee. Yes. Yes, and that's what I'm not doing it for myself alone. I'm doing it for all of us. And, I need to remember that because that makes it even more important to me to do this. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, I love what everyone shared. And I'm going to go to the course for what's coming to me from this. Well, I just want to point out that for me, I always look at the paragraph before. So the paragraph before, he says, forgiveness is complete. And now God's knowledge, changeless, certain, pure, and wholly understandable, enters its kingdom. So forgiveness is complete. And I love what everyone shared. And what stood out to me too was what Nicole said about the atonement. This is accepting the atonement. This is really, truly accepting the atonement for myself. But it's talking for me. What it tells me in the course is about what is the real world. In number 8, the question in the workbook: what is the real world? And the last paragraph there, which is paragraph 5, he says the Holy Spirit has no need of time when it has served his purpose. Now he waits but that one instant more for God to take his final step. So it kind of reminds me of the final step. He says, and time has disappeared, taking perception with it as it goes and leaving but the truth to be itself. That instant is our goal, for it contains the memory of God. And as we look upon a world forgiven, it is he, capital H, he, who calls to us and comes to take us home, reminding us of our identity, which our forgiveness has restored to us. And this is what everyone is saying here. Everyone is saying the same thing. And just really quickly, Ken Wapnick says that, this is a quote from Ken. He says, in the real world, you are literally outside the dream and totally identified with the Holy Spirit's love. You no longer identify with the cause of the world, which is the belief in separation from God. You may appear to be in the world as Jesus did, but your reality remains outside of it. And so for you, the world has disappeared. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that's directly pointing at what Dove was saying about die before you die. That is what Jesus did. He died to the world and was no longer ruled by the rules of the world. And even though he appeared to be in a body, we know that was just a form that he used to share with others. And the next section is Jesus the Christ, and we're gonna see that when we talk about that. But it's really good to know that this the body itself is a tool, a communication device. And so let us use it for what it's here for now, because uh that we're here anyway. you know we're dealing with it anyway. We might as well do the best with it. Karen, please.
And to me, this can be experienced here, and it's in the holy instant. I had one experience. I was at a meeting, and at the end of the meeting, we would hold hands in a circle and say a prayer. And my eyes were closed, and all I saw was this circle of light, the circle of light, and it was just around the whole entire group. And I felt this in that instant. I felt just this oneness, like McKaylee was talking about, like everyone's talking about. And the body dropped. There was no body, there was no people, there was nothing. In that instant, it was just the light. And it was an experience that couldn't have lasted more than 30 seconds, if that. I don't even remember, but I mean, it was that experience. And and we can have that experience. And like Jesus, it lasted. For me, it didn't last. But I mean, for me, it's just, really being outside of this dream, totally recognizing that that I am not this body. I am not even here in this world. And like Jesus was our example for that. I just think, for me personally, I have glimpses of it, and I think it's beautiful. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, I have too, and I'm sure that everyone else here has had that kind of experience. And it's just, wanting to get back to that and to stay at that place. That's our goal every day. We have one paragraph left here. We have just a few more minutes, but I think let's read this last little paragraph. Next week we can start with the next section. Who would like to read paragraph 8?
Well, I will.
Oh, good. Thank you, Doug.
Oh, my brothers, if you only knew the peace that will envelop you and hold you safe and pure and lovely in the mind of God. Hmm. What a sentence that is, right? Oh, my brothers, if you only knew. You could but rush to meet him where his altar is. So the altar is, as you once said a couple of days ago, the altar is it's in our mind, and we have defiled the altar, as the Course says. And I forgot the word that you like from the Bible, the tabernacles, right? You mentioned the tabernacles is the altar. So I'm in tabernacle with my Creator. So you could but rush to meet him where his altar is, hallowed your name and his, for they are joined here in this holy place. Here he leans down to lift you up to him out of illusions into holiness. Leans down to lift you up to him. So that appears to be as God takes the last step, which most people are familiar with, and this is what he says. He leans down to lift you up to him out of illusions into holiness, out of the world into eternity, out of all fear and given back to love. Now, as I'm reading that, it appears that that we have to be willing for this to happen. Only our willingness is necessary. And our willingness means that I practice it in my daily life. Kind of like that thing. I think Suzanne DeKaiser and myself tomorrow morning are going to be talking about I forgot the expression from um, uh, seeing the love in all, or what's it called?
Loving all?
Yeah, the loving all method. So in the loving all method, you're really practicing nothing but love. It doesn't matter what it is. You can say, I really don't like Donald Trump, but I love the idea that I don't like him. I love the idea. So you're practicing love all the time. I think that's necessary to make it easy for the him leaning down and raising us up. So that's my sharing.
Thank you, Dove. Does anybody else have anything? This is such a beautiful paragraph. And yeah, it's just knowing that we're loved. And if we just knew that we were loved, we would never be afraid. And we would rush to meet him where his altar is. And so yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful thought. And not only that, he'll lift us up, um, he's never put us down, really. We've always been here with him. So that's only something that we need because we think we've fallen so far, but we haven't at all. We've not gone anywhere. We're still home, home in heaven with our Father and our beloved brothers and sisters who we see every day here. So, all right.
I also want to add this one thing. This loving all method is really saying I don't want to turn my opinions, my preferences for one over the other into grievances, because it's the grievances that hurt us. So by saying, I love the idea that I prefer this over that, prevents us from going into establishing a grievance, which really hurts the Son of God, makes the communication between the Father and the Son too great a distance. So that's what I want to share. Yeah.
Thank you, Deb. And wouldn't the loving all method be saying, I love Donald Trump and I love what
No,
he's doing
no,
and I love everything
I
about him?
actually see, people, you either say I like or I don't like. It's okay to have preferences. It's okay to have preferences, but not to turn the preference into a grievance. Not to turn, so to appreciate everything that you do in a world of us, others, obviously people have preferences. It's okay to be honest about it, but to love yourself for being honest.
And I get that too. I'm again going to argue. Here I'm going to argue with you because I think having preferences means that we judged one thing to be better than another. And how can you love everything if you think one thing is better than another? I think you got to come to the point where you recognize that you don't know what anything is for. So, for me to predict or think that something is happening in the world based on what I like or don't like is it's arrogance and ignorance.
Okay,
I don't know. That's just my thought.
I
Karen,
accept that.
I'm not trying to, not, I'm just saying, if I can't love it, then, how can I forgive it? And Karen, did you have your hand up? Michaela?
Yeah. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Dove. I love what both of you said, and I think that preferences are fine, and I don't think there's anything wrong with preferences. And I think that as long as I am here, I am going to have preferences, and it's just letting go of my attachment to that preference. It's like it's not the be all or die all. Like if I don't have this certain thing, like am I going to be okay? Am I going to be at peace? Can I still be at peace without this preference?
Well,
That's it, but it's okay to have that preference as long as I can still be at peace without it.
exactly. It's all about not losing your peace. That's what the course is about, not losing your peace.
Okay.
Seeing everyone as equal.
I'd like to say that I think this is a very important thing for breaking out of spiritual ego. As we practice allowance, once we start to see that all forgiveness is self-forgiveness, and we start to actually practice from ourself and extending that, like extending. So when we practice allowance and allowance for ourselves, then we're able to extend that to our brothers, and then there's not that illusion of separate interests and collision or divided will when we can actually practice that to ourselves. So I'm kind of understanding what you're saying, Dove. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Michaela, please go ahead.
Can you put the last paragraph back on the screen, Lynn, please?
Sure.
Okay. I love what it says. Oh my brothers, if you only knew the peace that will envelop you and hold you safe and pure and lovely in the mind of God, you could but rush to meet him where his altar is. And I'm just noticing that everybody wants that peace. That's what they really are. And they want to go back to that. And I'm just finding that with everything, with not only with the strangers, but with animals, with everything. It's just becoming more peaceful. And I'm not saying that things aren't gonna happen, but you just keep maintaining that peace. And that's probably just like what I experienced today. It's just a glimpse of what this peace would envelop, would feel like. So that's just a glimpse, a tiny glimpse, a sliver, a pin drop, or like putting a camel through the eye of a needle. I mean, it's so small, what I experienced today, and I love it. I love it. It's giving and receiving. It's wonderful, and so I can't. It's probably unimaginable what that would feel like from paragraph 8. That's a beautiful paragraph. That's probably one of my favorite paragraphs out of the whole course right there.
Wow.
Just to read it and look at it makes me just so happy. So I love it.
Wow.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Michaela. And I love that he just says, "Oh my brothers, oh my brothers," and that's Jesus. He sees us. He gets us, as the commercial says, which I love. All right, you guys, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I love you all.
Thanks, everyone. Beautiful conversation.
See
Thank
you.
Love you.
you. Bye.